What happens when the poorest child in the world dreams the richest dreams? This little girl had no shoes, no home, only a few boxes of matches. But on her final night, she saw things that even billionaires cannot buy. This story will break your heart. It was a dark winter night, the kind of night when snow falls silently from the sky, when the streets become deserted, and when people sit around warm fires in their homes searching for comfort. But in one street of that city there was also a little girl, barefoot, wearing torn clothes, and carrying a few boxes of matches in her hands. She was going from door to door, but no one was even willing to look at her. She had no idea that this night was going to be the last night of her life. And on this night, she would see things that ordinary people never get to see. The city was immersed in celebration. Only a few hours remained before the arrival of the new year. Every house was glowing with lights. Laughter could be heard from every window. People were dressed in their finest clothes and preparing for gatherings. But among all that happiness, there wandered a soul who had no one in the world. It was the little girl. She was perhaps 10 or 11 years old. Her golden hair was wet from the snow. Her cheeks had turned red from the cold. Her hands were trembling, and her stomach was twisting with hunger. "Please buy some matches," she would say softly. "Just one box." But people passed by without listening. No one had the time. No one had room in their heart. The girl wandered all day long, but she could not sell a single box. She was even afraid to go home. Home? In reality, it was not a home. It was a broken room, where cold air entered through holes in the walls. And there, her harsh-tempered father was waiting. If she returned without money, she would be scolded, perhaps even beaten. That is why she continued wandering through the streets. The night kept growing darker. The snow continued to fall. Her bare feet had become frozen in the snow. Walking was becoming difficult. Every breath felt as if pieces of ice were entering her chest. She sat down in a corner between two buildings. The place offered some protection from the wind. She pressed her hands against her chest. But the cold had already reached her bones. Tears filled her eyes. "I wish," she thought, "I wish someone would invite me into their home." She took out a match from a box. "What if I light just one?" she thought. Perhaps it would give her warmth for a little while. The match lit up. A tiny light sparkled in the darkness. Suddenly, she felt as if a large warm stove had appeared before her. Golden flames danced beautifully. She stared at it in amazement. Her hands began to feel warm. Peace returned to her face. "What wonderful warmth," she smiled. But suddenly, the match went out. The stove disappeared as well. She was sitting in the snow once again, alone, shivering. She lit a second match. This time the light fell upon the wall, and the wall seemed to become transparent. She saw a room, such a beautiful room. A large table was set in the middle, different kinds of food. Roasted meat, warm bread, sweet dishes, fruits. Everything was there. The girl's eyes widened with wonder. Hunger was screaming through her entire being. Suddenly, it seemed as though the roasted bird on the table had come alive. It climbed down from the plate and began walking toward her, as if it wanted to offer itself to her. The girl reached out her hand. But the match went out. The vision disappeared. Only the cold night remained. Between hunger and cold, she began remembering her mother. She could only vaguely remember her face, gentle hands, a loving voice, the time when life was not so difficult. But her mother had left this world long ago. After that, everything changed. Laughter disappeared from the house. Love faded away, and life became a struggle. She lit another match. This time, a magnificent Christmas tree appeared before her, so large and bright that she had never seen anything like it before. Thousands of candles were burning, colorful decorations were shining. The tree seemed to touch the sky. The girl looked at it with joy. The sight was no less than a dream. Suddenly the candles began rising upward and turned into stars. One star fell from the sky. The girl immediately remembered what her late grandmother used to say. When a star falls, it means God is calling a soul to him. The girl became silent. A strange feeling filled her heart. If there was anyone in the world who had truly loved her, it was her grandmother. She used to tell her stories. She used to hold her in her lap. and she always said, "You are not alone." But her grandmother was no longer in this world either. And after she was gone, it felt as though love had disappeared from life. Quickly, she lit another match. And then, the vision she longed for the most appeared. Her grandmother, standing right in front of her. The same love on her face, the same kindness, the same smile. Tears began to flow from the girl's eyes. "Grandmother," she cried out, "please do not leave me." Her grandmother smiled lovingly, but the light began to fade. The girl became frightened. She knew that as soon as the match went out, her grandmother would disappear too. In fear, she lit the entire box, all at once. Dozens of lights burst into flame. So much light that night seemed to turn into day. Now her grandmother appeared even more clearly, radiant, beautiful, and filled with joy. The girl rushed toward her. "Take me with you," she said while crying. "I do not want to stay here. I am cold. I am hungry. I am alone." Her grandmother wrapped her in her arms. "You are not alone anymore," she said gently. The girl felt herself becoming lighter, very light, as though she were floating in the air. The snowy streets remained far below. The cold disappeared. The hunger disappeared. The pain disappeared. She and her grandmother were traveling toward a world of light, a world where there were no tears, no fear, no loneliness, only peace, only love, only light. Morning arrived. The sun rose. The city woke up. People were busy celebrating the new year. In that same corner of the street, people saw a little girl sitting there. There was a smile on her face. A box of burned matches was in her hand, and she was silent, silent forever. People stopped. Some expressed sorrow, some shook their heads, and then returned to their busy lives. But no one knew what the little girl had seen that night, who had come to meet her, and with what light she had departed. Sometimes the greatest tragedies in the world are born not from noise but from silence. And sometimes a small act of kindness can change an entire life. The snowy night came to an end, but the story of the little match girl still lives in hearts today. It is not just the story of a child, but a mirror reflecting both the cold and warm hearts of humanity. If this story touched your heart, please like the video and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more timeless and inspiring stories.